Welcome to the Irishman, Englishman and Scotsman Football Podcast. My next guest on the show is one of my oldest friends. He's an underage football coach and a huge Man City fan since the days before Georgie Kincladze. Welcome to the show, Trev.
Thanks for having me, John Paul.
Trev, your dad, John McLoughlin Sr., is a bit of a legend. He taught us all how to play football and inspired a generation of footballers in Kildove and Kildare back in Ireland. I know he's a big Birmingham City fan, so how did you become a Manchester City fan?
How I became a Man City fan was actually Niall Quinn scored a goal for Ireland in the 1990 World Cup, and he just joined City. He scored against Holland, if you remember, a long kick out from Packy Bonner. We drew the game 1-1.
I do, yeah.
Niall scored a goal, and it kind of stuck with me, and I became a Niall Quinn fan overnight and started supporting City from there. Niall Quinn was the reason, and probably before that, now not looking back to it, Dad's a Birmingham City fan, as you say. Dad called me after Trevor Francis, the very first £1 million soccer player in British football history. Trevor Francis went on to play for Manchester City, which I didn't know until I started supporting City in 1990. So I suppose since then it was easy to stick with them because of having the namesake, play for Manchester City. As you said, Dad was a Birmingham City fan back in 1979 when Trevor Francis became the first £1 million player. I was born in January 1980. So Dad, thinking it was a great thing, called me Trevor Francis, and that was it.
Well, there's worse people to be called after than Trevor Francis. I remember the Niall Quinn goal. I think Hans van Breukelen might have been in goal for Holland at the time, if I'm right. Moving on, Trev, the lads on the show, now they're often critical of Man City in the sense that they say that Man City's just don't seem to have a second way of playing, that their plan B is to try and do plan A better. And City are 8th in the Premier League. I think they've got a game in hand in Liverpool, about eight points behind, but we would expect them to be a lot closer coming up to Christmas, this stage of the season. Do you think maybe teams are starting to figure them out?
Yeah, I don't know if it's figured them out or whether City just don't have a player to replace David Silva like they would have in the past. David Silva everything seemed to go through him, and even if it didn't go through him, he seemed to orchestrate the game. You could see him pointing positions, telling players where to pick up. He knew Pep's philosophy. I don't think anyone has bridged that gap and decided to take up the mantle of what David Silva did. Phil Foden is there, but I don't think he has the seniority within the team to take up that mantle and other players around the field like David Silva did. So I think Pep just struggles to have a player that he can trust to run the midfield, which runs his game plan. And because of that, I think we're suffering. Also, maybe the loss of Aguero early in the season has been another thing. Aguero, again, another player who knows his philosophy inside out. It just things aren't gelling. And because of that, we're playing two defensive midfielders because Pep is finding that his philosophy is lost in the English game at time if you don't have somebody to carry out stuff on the pitch for you. He finds himself in a position where he's playing two defensive midfielders because he's trying to plug gaps at the back. And I think that's to our detriment. I think if you look at our goals this season, I think we've only scored like 19 goals or something like that this season, which is nothing as a return for City.
It's ridiculous for Man City. Yeah, I agree. I mean, David Silva is a huge loss on the pitch and in the dressing room, but also Vincent Kompany in the dressing room. You know, I think...
Yeah, exactly, yeah. That leadership has been lost over the last few years. And if you look back in that team, most of the team that Pep has built around have been players that he inherited. You know, so people always say he inherits players, and does he improve other players? We don't really know, but I think Vincent Kompany was enshrined in the City way. He understood the City. He married a Mancunian. He knew all of the ins and outs of how the fans wanted their team to play. So he came in and he embedded himself with the players like Vincent Kompany, and like I said, David Silva was in the squad when he came there. Sergio Aguero. These were the mainstays of his team. And if you look at anyone he signed recently, none of them have come up and taken the mantle and brought the club forward in any way. We've just we have stagnated, I feel. I feel his signings are just not up to it. I don't think he has improved. He has improved, probably Raheem Sterling. You can't doubt Raheem Sterling has made huge improvements under him. But I don't think any other player has improved under him. I think the type of player he looks for is a Raheem Sterling type player. So Raheem obviously flourishes under him, but there's other players defensively, like Walker is not half the player he was at Spurs. He doesn't seem to have that attacking outlet.
Right. Well, I don't know if you've just seen the news today. I mean, there's a game on tonight, and the way Newcastle are going, it'll be an absolute Christmas miracle if Newcastle get anything from the game. But this might be actually to benefit the City. But Gabriel Jesus and Walker have just tested positive for COVID, so Walker is out. I don't think he's a Man City player. I don't think Gundogan either is a Man City player. Everything seems to go through De Bruyne, who on his day is world class. But it could also be a case of stop De Bruyne, stop City. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. Yeah, I think he's our only creative player we have at the moment. I think over the last few years we've had different creative players in midfield. Like if you go even back to the early 2012 season when we won the league, you had different players who could come in and win you games, and we don't seem to have that. We've only got Kevin De Bruyne, and I think we depend too much on him. And teams have figured out little gaps that De Bruyne finds, and they're plugging those gaps. And once those gaps are plugged, we are finding it hard to break them open.
Yeah, very good point. I also agree about Sterling. I think he's world class. For me, Mahrez doesn't do enough. Now, City, the last couple of seasons, have spent an awful lot on defenders. Now, they're not scoring a lot of goals, but not conceding many either. I mean, the defensive record in the last 7 or 8 or 9, 10 games has been phenomenal. It's been really good. But for me, it's at the top end of the pitch, and this is never something I thought I'd talk about with Man City. But I feel like Jesus and Aguero, Sterling's got unbelievable pace and his movement off the ball. But Jesus and Aguero, although both of them have been injured at different stages of the season, they're very similar in the sense that they're small, low centre of gravity, look for the ball in behind, bursts of pace. What about somebody like Haaland at Dortmund? A different dimension. I've seen him here at Salzburg. He's phenomenal. He ran Liverpool ragged at Anfield. You know what I mean? Any Champions League game, Europa League game for Salzburg. I wish he said at Salzburg. He's flying at Dortmund. I think he scored, 4 or 5 goals there a few weeks ago in a matter of a few minutes for Dortmund. So maybe City will go in for somebody in January. There's no shortage of funds. Would you think Haaland would fit in?
Yeah, of course. I think his speed and power is what we're looking for. Like Aguero has been world class, and he has been City's greatest ever striker. I find the problem is he's picking up too much injuries now lately in the last few years. He's now 33 now, I think he is. And because of that, little injuries are stopping him getting to the heights that he was at. And I think City, if they don't make a signing in January, a big signing of a striker, they're not even going to finish in the top 4. I worry that we're not going to finish in the top 4. This year, it's like a year that Leicester won the league. I don't think we have anyone that's going to go out and win the league, but I think someone could pip the big 3 or 4 into it. Like Leicester could snake into winning the Premiership, or even Tottenham Hotspur. And if City don't improve and get the goals that we have been getting over the last few years, like 106 goals, I think we had 2 seasons ago. Like this season, 19 goals. Yes, you said we have improved our defensive record. I think we've only let in something like 12 goals this season. Ruben Diaz has improved us at the back. I think he's the type of player we need to replace Vincent Kompany. But as you say, Erling Haaland's son is the place we should be going. His father has played for the club. He understands the City way. He grew up in Manchester. If you remember, there's lots of pictures of him there in his Manchester City kit over the years. And he'll bring a different dimension to the game. Speed and power. He can win headers. We're missing a player like that since we saw Dzeko. We haven't had somebody. The plan B, like you say, we probably have been working off plan A too much under Pep, and maybe the plan B of going to a big man, strong, quick, and that's probably the way forward.
And then lastly, Trev, about Man City, do you think that the players get a bit bored of the same way all the time?
I don't think they do, but I think confidence is a big thing. I think if you're winning games, it's easy to keep playing the same thing, because you know yourself from playing football over the years, if you're winning, no matter whether it's the same repetitive thing you're doing every week, as long as you're winning, you're happy and you're confident. But I think what's happened recently is because we've gone so defensive with 2 defensive midfielders and then bringing in Diaz in defence, and we've kind of shored up the back. I think we've the creative players that we look for and we want to see have lost that confidence. Like, I think if you look at it, Sterling has been poor this season. Like, I don't like to knock him, but he is his thing is he's been scoring goals for us, and this season it hasn't been happening for him. And again, I think it's a lot to do with confidence. I don't think it's down to getting bored. I don't think you get bored at that level of winning, but I do think you lose confidence, and with losing confidence, you don't be able to do the things at the same speed that Pep expects it. And it is the quick ticky-tacky football. And if you're not confident in your own ability or even anything at that stage, it slows you down by a split second. And these teams in the Premier League, it's not like it is in European football. They're on you in a second and that's it.
Yeah, I watched the Tottenham game, and it was very similar to what you just said there. City had most of the ball. Tottenham broke away and they got the goals, and I think it was the same as last season. That's how they won. So if you don't sign a striker in January, How do you see the season going for City? I mean, you're probably going to win the League Cup or United the way things are going, but I think Pep also, he's after the Champions League as well. And he's never won it outside of Spain. He never won it with Bayern. You know, he got to the semi-final a couple of times last season. City really should. I thought they were going to beat Lyon, thought they were going to win it. You know, is he obsessed with the Champions League as well?
Yeah, I think his Champions League obsession is to our detriment, really, because I think he's now putting more emphasis on the Champions League. And as you know, cup competitions are so hard to win. All it takes is one mistake, and as you've seen over the last few seasons, that's where I find Kyle Walker is that player that people can get at. And in cup competitions, all it takes is one little mistake, and Kyle Walker has been that mistake recently. You see him giving away penalties very easy with naive defending. And I think as long as we play in that kind of situation and have a defensive problem or frailty in defence, all it takes is a team to score one against us, and it's very hard for us to break them down once we have. So I think our biggest problem is he is putting all of his eggs in one basket. I think the British media, he builds up to the British media where they keep saying, oh, Pep is a perennial loser in the Champions League. And I think it's now got to him where he now is trying to prove a point instead of just building a team and his own philosophy. He's now thinking, am I the problem? And yet, if he just sticks to his own philosophy and understands the game as he does, eventually he will win it. He just needs to stop worrying about the British media. I think the British media get on top of managers, and it becomes they play him like they're playing the fiddle there.
The British media will build you up to knock you down. They've been doing it for a long time, and they're not going to change anytime soon. Now, Trev, you're also an underage football coach at Kyle Dove Football Club in Kildare, which we both played for, one of the most renowned and well-known amateur football clubs in Ireland. And I remember as a kid going door to door, trying to sell raffle tickets to raise money for the club for the Christmas raffle back in the day. It's hard for football clubs anywhere to raise any kind of funds with the COVID, the way the situation is at the minute in the world. It's crazy, but you've come up with something really special. Tell us about it, Trev.
Yeah, so as you know, we used to do a football coupon where we go, like you said, around door to door selling tickets. You give in a coupon. It's 10 matches are to be chosen predictions on. So you would choose a home, away, or a draw. So
Premier League matches, Trev, yeah?
Premier League matches, and we have a tiebreaker where you go into the championship games for the tiebreaker, just in case there's two people who share the win on the Premier League, and divide them and having just one winner, we go into the championship to see how the levels of expertise are in championship football. So if you have Manchester City, you're playing at home against the likes of Newcastle, as it is today. If you want Manchester City to win, you just pick a home win. If Newcastle away win, 2 points for an away win, 1 point for a home win, or 1 point for a home win, and it's 3 points for a draw. So over the 10 games, there's a possibility of 30 points if all 10 draws come up. So the way it works now is we brought it online, and we are working with a company called iPlayPredict.com. So what you can do is you go online now and you buy a €3 ticket. You go in and you make your payment of €3. You will receive 2 emails. First email will be a receipt to say that you've paid the €3 for the competition, and the second one will be a link to the league for that week. What happens then is you just go ahead and you make your predictions for the 10 games and the 5 tiebreaker games. Once you've done that, you'll see you're placed in a league, and it all comes from there. Jackpot currently is €500 for the winner. And if there is no winner of all 10 games correctly predicted, there's a first prize of €100 to the most points collected over the game.
And any one of our listeners, anyone can do this, Trev. Anyone can listen in, yeah? Anyone can join.
Yes, anyone can join from anywhere across the world. You just log into iPlayPredict.com, and once you log in and just click on the link and join the weekly game forecast, you can just pay your €3 and play away. Just make your predictions, and you can see yourself where you are. Once the games kick off, the great thing about it is you can make a change on your predictions right up to 5 minutes before the game. Once a game kicks off, you can see your competitors' predictions for any game that has kicked off. So if you're playing against somebody else and you see somebody that's close to you on the league table, you can check their who they've predicted for during the game that is on currently. After the league is done, you can see everyone's predictions. You can check through who has predicted what. But the great thing about it is where you can ring up a mate and have see his prediction, and we have a bit of banter across WhatsApp between ourselves, where we see who's gone for what, and it's quite a good way of making money for the club. like I say, going around door to door is no longer a thing we can do in 2020, or as it is going to be now into 2021. So we're going to have to keep pushing this game. And I believe everyone goes to a bookies in Ireland. We're big bookies, big at going into the bookies. If you just go in, instead of going into a bookies now and making soccer predictions, you can do it online on Kylove's iPlayPredict.com. You can find us on Facebook as well. You can click the link on our Facebook page, which is Kylove AFC, or you'll find us on Twitter as well at Kylove AFC.
Very good, Trev. Very good. Brilliant stuff. And, it's instead of going to the bookies, it's for a really good cause and for one of the oldest and, most traditional amateur football clubs in Ireland, Kildove in County Kildare. We're just going to head off soon, Trev. Before we go, what's your prediction for the match tonight, Man City, Newcastle?
Newcastle in turmoil. I think City might win it. I think we've been short on goals recently, but I still think we will win 3-1.
Right, Trev. Listen, thanks a million and great chatting with you. Hope to see you soon. Guys, please, if you can, make your bets true. Go into the Kildove Facebook page, have a look at I Play Predict, Trev, is it?
Yeah, I Play Predict. Yeah, that's it.
Right. Thanks a lot, Trev, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Jeff.
Thank you for listening. If you'd like to hear more of our podcasts, please click on the red subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side. Thank you.